To kick off Pro Tour London last weekend, James' keynote address, which we all wait for anxiously for product announcements, the event roadmaps, and yes, spoilers. Now sure, this time around, the leaks of High Seas threatened to take some wind out of the sails, but rest assured, it did not disappoint. In fact, not only did it not disappoint, but it was perhaps the most exciting one we've seen to date, slipping in some surprise product announcements. So today, let's dive into it. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Welcome back to the channel. That's right, the Monday after Pro Tour, Mr. Pablo Pintor making history, and we've got some misfail heroes right on the edge and all that sort of stuff. Now, today I am not covering the Pro Tour and stuff like that. Y'all know the secrets and the breakdowns, and it was a super exciting event. I spent way too much time either on my phone or on the YouTubes, on the TVs, watching the great, it's Understill, phenomenal production that they put on. It was just incredible. But today, yes, I want to focus in on the keynote because there's some big stuff in there. Now, James did a great job as always. In fact, I would say it's fair. We've come to expect that. That's not to take away how good of a job he does. Just say that's what we've come to expect. So it's no surprise that he did really well on that. Got the crowd riled up and all that, and yeah, lots of good stuff. Now, I am going to kind of skip over, from a certain point of view, the event announcements. And that's not because I don't care about them, but it is because I want to remind everyone that we did an interview with Trevor Baker last week. It actually went live Friday morning. Now, that was basically in direct conflict with the Pro Tour through the weekend. And you know how the algorithms and stuff work, stuff gets buried. So I want to make sure that this is on your radar. We spend an hour and a half talking to Trevor. We go through all sorts of stuff, not just the roadmap, but really his vision for the future. So we talk the recent event in Brazil, we talk Germany, we talk the whole event roadmap, and then he kind of gives us why I ping him on Blitz, and we talk about short form and how valuable that is, and there's all sorts of stuff to unpack. We talk about ELO as well. I know some ELO and XP and all that, and I know some folks are interested in that as well. So please go over, check that out. Because of that, I will not be spending too much time on events, other than the one that I am super excited about. I really need to figure out if I can make this happen. So in Auckland, they're doing Calling Auckland. It'll be a double calling weekend. And you're drafting WTR. And then the Battle Hardened is an Arcane Rising first edition draft. As Trevor said in the interview when we talked about this, if you're going to go down to something in New Zealand should call, events in New Zealand should feel special, I believe was his quote. And this one's doing it. He also mentioned that it would be Farewell Arcane Rising. Makes sense with that. And the Arcane Rising, actually, I'm not sure if it's a draft. I think it might be a sealed, was how it was described. But either way, well, it says draft here on the image, so let's go with that. It was sold as a sealed before, but either way, this is pretty exciting. I really need to see if I can get down there, because if you, what Trevor had mentioned was that if you make day 2, you'll be drafting Alpha. Pretty cool. Come out for that one. It's in August. They're winter time, but hey, awesome place to be. So anyway, I won't oversell that. You can probably tell I'm stuttering all over the place because I'm extremely excited, and I'm trying to go through in my head right now how I'm going to make it work at that point in our lives. All right, Max Nitro, they did talk about that. We did see the gameplay videos went up. That'll be, it's in what, from the time you're seeing this, it's like 3 days away. This Friday, upcoming Friday. This deck is, now we've seen it okay. I'm struggling to wrap my head. So I already pre-ordered one, so I'm struggling to figure out how it all works together. But I think once maybe we see some other pieces, I think some, and I don't mean pieces from the deck, but like maybe some kids smarter than I can figure out how to make this one work. Now the next was the Gravy Bones. Now this is no surprise. We had seen this as part of the earlier product announcements. We did get another deck hand spoiled to us, which is pretty cool. So it's, again, no real surprise that the Necromancer's going to have allies and board state type stuff on the table. I think this is going to be a very, very, very popular hero, especially actually if, we saw Illusionist doing quite a bit this last weekend, and, you know, Enigma going away. I guess Prism's kind of a board state hero, but like with her Angels, not really. She just kind of uses them defensively. But so my point being, I could see some of the, you know, the Dromai fans or whatever going over to Gravy Bones, giving that a try, depending on how the playstyle works, but we'll see. Okay, so that'll be coming out May 30th, concurrent with the set. Now, the shocker was Ira. So what's fun about this one is if you go into the Wayback Machine, I think it was like November-ish time frame, it was said, I think Brian was the one who said it, but it was said that we were talking, it was not an interview of mine, but another interview out in kind of the YouTube sphere, it had been said that there was no plan for an Ira Armory deck within the current, you know, I'm sure there was some asterisks like within the current roadmap. And if you actually recall about that time, that was the last keynote that we got from Worlds, I think. And we had gotten the Armory deck, like kind of the product, which by the way, we did not get, you know, usually there's like a timeline of like product release and stuff like that. We didn't see one of those this time. But when we had seen that before, there was like 4 Armory decks on the horizon. And we were told in no uncertain terms that none of those 4 were Ira, but now we're past that. And I am actually really, really, really excited about this for a couple of reasons. First and foremost is when I look at entry-friendly heroes, Ira's great, phenomenal. Now, she's a very expensive deck to fully tune, but you can functionally play Ira at a very basic level from a very entry standpoint. The challenge with her, and when I did my best heroes for 2020, best heroes to start and grow into 2025, Ira did not make that list for a specific reason of there was no way to get her card. And at the time, I'll in the overlays, I'll go add what it is right now, but at the time, it was like a $12 card. And I felt that was not entry friendly for you have to pay $12 to get the hero to play your deck. Right? I think that would just leave a bad taste in many entry players' mouth. So now that you have that and you have a very easy, this over here, very easy entry path, this is a slam dunk to me. I really hope, you know, there's basically our store has always just gotten one case allocated. I know there's a lot of stores out there that aren't able to get any. This one feels to me like one they need to go pretty hard in, because I don't see Ira LLing anytime within the next several years, and always see her being there. And I feel that if this sits on the shelf or in a warehouse for 2 to 3 years, I think that's okay, right? I get it from a product, you know, from an investment and ROI standpoint, you want things to move and sell your print run. But I think it would be okay if they like overproduced this one. I think that would be okay. And that's my hope. So let me know below if you agree. You know, I get it, scarcity, you know, forced scarcity and FOMO is a thing. But it seems to me that it'd be okay if this one sat on the shelves and like it was always available to buy. Seems to me that'd be a good thing. Now, we did get one spoiler card, kind of came, so this actually did not come out of the keynote, but I wanted to throw it in here anyway because it kind of came out of the Aether concurrent with the product announcements. So this is Enact Vengeance. So combo, if Edge of Autumn or a card with Vengeance in its name was the last attack this combat chain, this gets when this hits a hero, destroy all cards in their arsenal. So a couple things to glean from this. First, Edge of Autumn is going to be the weapon in the deck. Clear as mud, right? And I think that's really cool, a good harken back. Also, if a card with Vengeance, so there's clearly going to be like a Vengeance combo line. So you can kind of spell that out in terms of what, you know, you're probably going to have a common, a rare, and a Majestic, probably. Maybe, you know, even in the past, maybe two rares. We'll see, you know, because in the old school ones, there used to be like the cheaper chain and then the better, more expensive chain, right? So anyway, that's complete and utter speculation, but we know for a fact that Vengeance named, or I guess maybe they're future-proofing it, but it seems to me that there's probably going to be a card with Vengeance in it. Okay, but this, at a very basic level, is a CNC. Right? And what I'm talking about is with Ira, 127. 2 card. I mean, I don't have to spell it out for you. The card's good. So I can run 6 CNCs in Ira. And then again, it gives them something to grow into because, you know, they have to save up the pennies to go buy your CNCs. Maybe they'll reprint CNCs. Ha! That one. All right. Now, next up, this was a really cool surprise. So they are going to San Diego ComicCon in conjunction with, I believe it's Weta Workshop. So apologies if I'm mispronouncing it, but Weta Workshop is also out of Auckland. It was kind of cool. It was right across the street from where we were staying when we went down to New Zealand and stayed in Auckland that 1 or 2 nights. And that was really neat. So they're going over there, that's the place from the Prism statue and all that. Now, what's interesting about this is 2 convention exclusive Armory decks. And someone out there is like, oh my God, I can't believe exclusive products and stuff like that. And while I hear you from one point of view, the way that they're doing this is actually kind of neat because it's a living legend legality deck. It's Prism, and then skipping ahead, and Viserai, both of whom have LL'd. And, they're $60 MSP, so they fit right in, it's Armory Deck Legends is the product line. And so it fits right in with kind of Jarl, with Jarl being the upskilled. Now, there are 2 exclusive, I'll talk about that in a second. There's two exclusive cards, which we will have access to. So they're completely managing basically all of the exclusive expectations, except for the products themselves. However, I think this one, usually I don't like stuff like this, right? I think, and I'm pretty sure this one's going to be okay, because of the LL portion of it. And it looks to me like they're probably just putting in some other stuff. And by other stuff, I don't mean new stuff. I think it's going to be a backfilled deck. So I mean, I have nothing with which to back that statement up, to be fair. That's just how I feel, because I feel like this is something that would really ruffle people's feathers especially because it's being announced so late for a convention that probably is close to sold out at this. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. But either way, it's not that far away, and it's kind of a big deal. So, and it seems to me like this be something, there's line around the block, and then they're sold out by, they have 200 of them every day or whatever the number may be. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm just saying, don't necessarily get our pants in a tizzy on this one, because the 2 exclusive cards, which is Halo of Lumina Light and Helm of the Arc Knight, the 2 cards are going to be included in Gem Pack 3. So they'll be tournament legal. So they actually won't even be tournament legal until September 26, which will be alongside roughly concurrent, whatever that may be. It'd be roughly concurrent with the release of that set, right? The fall set. Okay. So I personally think this is probably okay. Probably going to be okay, right? I know we have sour taste in our mouth from the convention exclusives last summer and Blitz and stuff, which, some portion of people didn't care about. A lot of other people were really passionate about it. So I could see how this would be kind of in that realm. But I think the way they're doing this is, I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. TLDR. Now we go into the new stuff. So we knew Mastery Class Guardian was coming our way. But we now have a lot more info, plus the whole Smash Palace thing. So what's interesting about this is not just Mastery Pack Guardian coming out August 8th, but you have MSRP of $54.90. All right, so we knew Velda was coming. That's not a surprise. We saw her, I think it was on the back of the box of Mastery Pack Guardian. So we knew she was coming. Velda Seismic Impact is adult Velda, right? So again, if you have the correct number out, she'll get crushed and you have the effect. Okay, but we also have 3 brand new cards right alongside of her. So Velda finally gets a specialization. So put them in her place. That's an expensive 6-drop. But with a crush of when this deals 4 or more damage, they discard their hand, then they draw that many cards, right? So the big bad bartender puts them in their place. We also have a really cool looking card, Seismic Eruption, which is just an instant. Gain 3 or create 3 Seismic Surge tokens. So that's pretty good for Velda. Just immediately turns her on. And then we have Solid Ground, which again, you see the extended, so it's not extended, sorry, it's full art is the term. Full art for both Seismic and Solid Ground. But Solid Ground costs 1 less to play for each Seismic Surge you control. They don't pop them because this is just a D-React. So that's pretty cool coming in for 5. And being a blue, well, that's pretty neat now, isn't it? So that's really cool for the Velda thing. We also saw the marvels of the various marvels of the Seismic Surge. at least 3 versions for now. I think folks will definitely want to chase these down without a doubt. I think the right people will want these in the right hand. So that's pretty neat as well. Now we also have Marvels of the quote-unquote old ones cycle, which is what I'm calling this. I think that's the right thing to say. So we have smelting of the old ones, blinding of the old ones, and then disenchantment of the old ones. So they all seem relatively matched in that they're 6/10s with a crush effect. So they all have crush effects, but what's interesting here is they specifically are looking for Guardian heroes, right? So it's a Guardian love fest going on here in Mastery Pack Guardian, which means that these are probably actually relatively low rarity cards, like maybe rares and stuff like that, for the purpose of, remember, playing this into each other in Crack Shuffle play. That's my best guess of what's going on here, because again, if they were, Majestics and stuff that were targeted towards that seems kind of hard to pull, which maybe is okay. Maybe it's not something you want to be super big, super prevalent, I guess, in Crack Shuffle play. But it seems to me that this would be something you want to be a little more frequent. So I'm going to guess that they're lower rarities, but these particular obviously are marbles. Now, what's interesting about them is they're all functionally the same, but I guess that's not super interesting. They all have different effects. They are Heave 2, though, and most of the Heaves we've either seen Heave 3 or Heave 6 to this point, right? Yes. But we do have Heave coming back. We have Crush coming back. This seems to be a pretty, back to the basics fundamental set, which seems pretty exciting. So Smelting the Old One says when this deals 4 or more, destroy all equipment they control with -1 counters. That's a big deal. Blinding says when this deals 4 or more, cards they own lose all abilities during their next turn, so it's all cards they own. And then Disenchantment, when it crushes, destroys all auras they control, which potentially, right, could be a pretty substantial hit, given, looks like Seismic Surge making is a thing, right? Seems to make sense. So that could potentially be pretty impactful. All right, and then again, I just want to reinforce the Crack Shuffle play, which I think is pretty relevant for the point I was trying to make about the packs. If you're gonna Crack Shuffle play with 3 packs, they've at least got to have 10 cards in them, right? And he had mentioned that you would pull out, I think, the back 2 or 3 cards, I forget what it was, but you pull out the back 3 cards, shuffle up and play, back X cards, shuffle up and play, and that number was either 2 or 3. So you would be really looking at, maybe slightly smaller packs, but not half. You know what I mean? So again, we'll have to see when the sell sheet comes out what all the details look like, but that's very relevant. Now we get to Smash Palace, and you do see the new Bravo right in front, kind of leading the charge. So this is the long-rumored casual entry, casual-friendly product. Not rumored. Long-stated and alluded to casual entry product. Not rumored. We knew it was coming. But James was pretty excited about this. We talked about it a bit when he did the interview on my channel, which was, headed into, coming out of Worlds. Yeah, coming out of Worlds. So we had a good chat about that. I know him and the team are very excited about this. So what this is it's overall, it's a product that looks like it's like a framework for you to do Crack Shuffle play with. So I really like the concept. So if this is exactly what I think it is, I really like the concept of it, because what you could do, right? So obviously you can see the layout there. It's going to come with, the framework that you need, the tokens and stuff you need, instructions you need, and then the heroes and stuff you need, as well as an event deck. And we'll talk about that in a second. And it'll also come with some subset of packs. But if I go to the store and I buy Smash Palace for, 70, well, it says right there, MSRP of $70. So I buy Smash Palace for $70. I bring it home. My wife and I play a bunch of games with it. Well, now we're out of packs. Just go buy more, right? And they fit right back in. So if it works exactly the way I think it does, which I'm pretty sure it will, your LGS should really just open one of these, have it in the store on most LGSs have a board game rack where you can just come in, play, sit at a table. It makes a lot of sense to me to have this framework, obviously without the booster packs in it. So you come in, you use the framework, and then you buy 3 packs each, right? And you just crash into each other. So that way you don't need to worry about tokens. You don't need to worry about the framework. This is exactly what the problem I ran into with Crack Shuffle Play in Bright Lights was. If we, sometimes you'd be like, yeah, like in theory, you're like, I'm going to take these 3 packs, my buddy, and I'll go to the pub, right? Go to the coffee shop, whatever. You're like, oh, I don't have all the tokens I needed because they didn't come in the packs. Well, this solves that problem, right? So, and your LGS can just have this available, and it actually helps them. So, I think this is a great product. Again, if it works the way I think it does, but it seems pretty self-explanatory. So, this seems really, really, really cool as onboarding, and then you're like, oh, well, that was really fun. I enjoyed that. Do you have any welcome decks available? Ha ha ha. Well, yes, we do. So the whole thing is basically built to facilitate crack 'em and smack 'em. I love it. Okay, this seems really, really, really smart. Now we have also the event deck, which we spoke to. I'm hoping the event deck also comes with copies of the hero in it, because I don't know how big the event deck needs to be. We did get a preview of some of the event deck cards. So we see 4 here. We have Crowd Roars, fight. So your next attack this turn gets +1 and may target any opposing hero. Rally the underdog, draw a card. If you have less health than an opponent, instead draw 2. Benefactor of Bloodworth Goldmane. Create a gold token your next attack this turn gets. When this attacks +X, where X is the number of gold. And then Code of Conduct, kill or be killed until the end of the turn. You may attack any opposing hero. And when you deal lethal damage to them, take an extra turn after this one. So what's cool about this is with the whole UPF, again, you can play one-on-one, but the whole Smash Palace thing's functionally designed to be UPF, right? And that's why there's 7 different heroes to choose from. Yes, you can crack shuffle play into each other, but you can also crack shuffle play pit fight UPF, right? And I think that's, again, pretty neat in concept. You come in, framework on the table to run a commander game, right? Quote unquote. Obviously not, but you get my point, right? 4 or 5 EA, sit down, you jam it out. And this is there to help facilitate that game, add a little randomness. I like the fact that there's an event that lets you attack anybody. That's pretty neat. And then we also have introducing the Pit Fighters, all designed for UPF, only legal in UPF. We have Fight Master Cox here. So action and tap him, destroy a gold you control, look at the top 3 cards of the event deck, and then put them back in any order, go again. Well, that's pretty neat. You get to use the event deck to your advantage. Then we have Groundbreaker Crix, who is a Guardian Hero Pit Fighter. Is a centaur, but is not actually a centaur. Just as Fight Master Cox here is not a goblin or whatever. Brute youngin. It certainly looks like a goblin to me. But either way, he is a pit fighter. Crix says your attacks get +1 while attacking a hero who controls a Seismic Surge token. Whenever you attack a Guardian hero, clash with them, the winner creates a Seismic Surge token. So that's kind of interesting. You either get one or you get maybe a little advantage into them, maybe. Pretty neat there with Groundbreaker Crix. Now, those are the only 2 we've seen so far, except for the maybe on Bravo. So what's interesting about, let's just get into it. Okay, so new welcome deck coming. So if you are familiar with the olden school of Flesh and Blood, there used to be the Ira welcome deck. I think most people are aware that existed. And it had, for the first 2 sets, it was actually not legal in constructed play. Now, in Crucible of War, they printed, I believe, all of the cards, like Torrent. I mean, we're talking like legit staples like Torrent to Tempo. Lunging Press was actually in the Katsu deck, so that was already legal. But there was a bunch of stuff, like Bettering Thorns, all of Ira stuff, okay, was reprinting Crucible. So then it was legal, but prior to that, it wasn't. So what's interesting about this welcome deck, which is replacing or backfilling or whatever you want to say, the Ira product, which I think is really, really smart because Ira is not legal in Blitz and someone would come in and pick up Ira. You get it, right? Not legal in the format. So I think it makes sense to backfill. Now, what's interesting about him is that it does say, actually, if we go back, take me a bit to get there, but it does say all designed for UPF, only legal in UPF. So that's interesting about Bravo. But the thing is, he's a rare, whereas the other 2 we saw are Majestic. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be legal in Commoner. It says only playable in UPF, but why make... Yeah, we will see. We will see come this summer. And actually, let's cheat ahead to Wednesday. We do talk about Bravo in this week's commenter video, Dice commenter video. But I'm pretty confident that Bravo Flattering Showman will be legal in Commoner. At least I'm not going to make projections about the other formats. We don't even know what those formats will look like at this point. And by that point, I mean like in August, okay? We don't know what the whole thing will be, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to have this legal in Commoner because, again, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to have the welcome deck, which is something people get for free and then they can't use. Because they did correct that problem. My point is they corrected that problem intentionally in the past, and I don't believe they would do that again. It just makes sense to me that you'd be able to pick it up and play, and to say that you'd pick it up and play only in UPF with the Smash Palace product doesn't track with me. So I do believe Bravo Flattering Showman will be legal in Commoner at the very least. And he's a beast, okay? So action for 2 and tap him. Turn a face-down card in your arsenal face up, and if it has Crush, it gets the Starvo out treatment. It's pretty damn good. It's like more than pretty damn good. It's like really good. Hero is crazy good. Really good. So we will see. I mean, with how good he is, there's potentially an argument that he is UPF only. I just don't believe it. I think it makes a lot of sense to have him be at least common or legal. So now we get into the high seas stuff. There's some cards and stuff that we can go through, but the big reveal on this one was the tap symbol that we had speculated, I think 2 weeks ago when we saw this stuff, that it seemed to imply exhaust just with the way it was working. And this is functionally replacing the once per turn action. It's just action tap, meaning once per turn. So you'll have an untap phase that'll be added to the end. All makes a lot of sense. It's pretty intuitive for how a lot of things work. So that's confirmed. And now we can start putting everything. We had largely suspected it before, but now we can put it in context. Now, what I thought was pretty neat about this is they expanded on things quite a bit for us in terms of the heroes with going through their motivation. So really kind of looking at their play style. So we have Marlin here, and we know that she likes gold, right? Everybody in the set's using gold. And actually, fun fact, during the dev talk, which came slightly after, they really talked about how much they enjoyed using gold as a mechanic, and then it would be coming back. So something to think about for maybe Olympia and others in the future. Now, Goldfin Harpoon, we'd already seen this one, but what we hadn't seen was the King Kraken Harpoon, which is a 2/6 arrow, Majestic. Go fish. Jeez, go fish. When this hits a hero, they choose and reveal a card from their hand. If it's a non-attack action card, they discard it and you create a gold token. If you've activated a cannon this turn, instead look at their hand and you choose the card, right? So I'm still waiting for this whole cannon mechanic. Seems pretty awesome. But I really appreciate the way that they gave us info we knew to put in context, and then they gave us a little treat that they probably weren't planning on, but it is what we got, and I think it was the right thing to do, to give us some little treats to keep us involved. Now we see the same thing for Puffin here. Actually, we got 2 treats for Puffin. And Puffin, the new one here, is the Palantir Aeronaut. So for 2, the defending hero must defend this with an equipment they control if able. So that's very T-bony. Thrice per turn instant, exhaust a cog you control. So not exhaust this or anything, right? Exhaust a cog you control. This gets +1. So this is potentially coming in 2 for 9. And if this is the 3rd time you've activated this ability, destroy a defending card. That's pretty good. 3 cogs, though, seems... I mean, to be fair, we don't know how hard or easy it will be, but like something like this, like with how good that is, seems like 3 cogs is probably not super easily achievable, but we will see. And then I really love the way they did this, like, who's a pirate without a pet? And to that point, we have Polycranka, because, come on, puns in this game? No, we never do that. So action for exhaust, banish it and return it to the arena under its owner's control, unequipped, tapped, and with a steam counter. You can crank it. And then this has perch, which means you can put it in addition to a 2-handed weapon. So she just sits on the shoulder. Makes a lot of sense. But then she can detach, do a thing. Can she reattach? I don't know. I don't know. The bird. I assume. I don't know. Why did I say Polly? I just assumed, but maybe that's... You know what? We will see. We will see on that one. And Doesn't really matter here nor there, but it's kind of fun. I'm actually really excited about just the silliness of having a parrot with a mechanical wing. I think it's really, really cool. All right, moving into Gravy Bones. His motivation is to bring people back from the dead and put them on the board. So we have 2 newbies to my I believe these are 2 newbies. Sunken Treasure. When this defends, you may turn a card in a graveyard face down. If it's yellow, create a gold token. Then we have the Diamond Amulet, which is an instant. Destroy it to gain an action point. It says Legend of the Watery Grave. So it's a legendary card. Okay. Very cool there. I mean, we've already seen another spoiler for his allies in the Armory deck, which is pretty cool. And then the big one. A pirate ain't a pirate without a BA ship. Conqueror of the High Seas. A big necro-looking death ship. When this hits a hero, destroy all cards in your arsenal. Create a gold token for each card destroyed this way. And then High Tide, if there are 2 or more blue cards in your pitch zone, this gets +1 and go again. What? So, what? Hold on. What? It's not hit? Like, it is hit. But, like, so this is coming in off 2 blues, so a 3-card hand. Who knows what his weapon and other options there are, or I don't know, allies that he might have to attack with. So, what? This card's crazy, dude. Seems crazy to me. And then we also have a participation promo. Looking for Scrap is coming back, so implies it's going to be in the set. Seems to make sense. Seems to make sense to me. That would be in the set, but either way, it's a cool looking alternate art version of Looking for a Scrap. And then we get into, I was going to say the really coolest part. I'm going to say the coolest part, looking into what the gold packs are going to be. So when we talked a couple weeks ago about the gold packs, there was a little bit of concern in that it was its own set within a set from a certain point of view. And what would that mean? Would there be cards you have to chase down in that? And I think the answer is really functionally no. So what this is going to contain is a map slot, so an art card. It'll contain 1 of 3 different golds, and then it'll have the treasure slot. So it does not appear, at least for now, that there's going to be any game piece unique. Well, it does not appear there's going to be many impactful game piece unique cards. Game piece, yeah, I think I said that correctly. Either way, you get my point. So this is also a way for them really to deliver the cold foils and some stuff like that in here as well. So if we go and skip ahead, you can see the gold slot. Now we do have the card Golden Rum. That does seem to, it's a generic token item. So it does seem to me that this is probably just a treatment thereof, and that if something, because again, it's a token, so something would have to call it into the game. So it makes sense to me that this is going to be readily available, and this is just the fancy way of getting it. So again, I'm becoming more and more confident and more less trepidatious, I think I said that right, about the gold pack now that we're starting to see the stuff in it. Because like I said, it looks like it's just treatments and specials and awesomes and not really, new stuff. Okay. Now, we do have Lost Treasure, and we see Diamond Amulet there, right, in the cold foil. So, but we had seen that before with Davy. So again, we're not looking at anything brand functionally new, but we do get into then probably the coolest part of all of it, which is what this Lost Treasure stuff is. James personally signing cards. Again, it's all over the internet. I will link the video here. I'll actually do like a little clip through of him signing it, but basically went into his vault and pulled out cards and signed them. There's some cards that are like pretty awesomely rare. And then again, it's a 1 of 1 because not only is it like some awesomely rare card, but it's also James signing it. He talked about the Eye of Ophidia. He's always refused to sign it. So it's the only one in existence. Yeah. So remember, these Lost Treasure things are pretty rare all overall, right? We're talking like, ones in thousands of boxes. Well, 1 in 1,000 boxes, I believe, to be correct. And then he'd also mentioned in there about, in the dev talk, he actually talked about there's like a Punamu amulet and stuff like that as well. So that is incredibly, incredibly exciting. And again, it just makes the gold packs, these gold packs are going to be Highly sought after. Highly sought after. Plus, everyone's going to want to rip them. Like their secondary market, probably, but everyone's going to want to rip them for sure, so they can get their signed James stuff. Now, pre-release, we did get some additional spoilers through the pre-releases. So there's the Peg Leg. Destroy this. Your next attack this turn gets go again with Blade Break. But Blade Break and destroy it for 3. That's interesting. Hammerhead Harpoon Cannon. Here we go. Action for 4 and exhaust. Your next arrow gets +4. If it has Harpoon, it gets Overpower. Go again, and it's a cannon. Then we have the Red Spline Manta, which is basically a basic bow. It's actually very similar to Redliner. I actually had to ask the question. I'll throw Redliner up and compare these two. So I was like, wait, isn't that just what Redliner does? The difference being that Redliner says if your arsenal's empty, and this does not. So it really works with New Horizon and stuff like that, which obviously probably won't be relevant for draft, but it's really just, it's expanding on it. It's just straight up better than Redliner, right? So this one's actually very interesting. I always liked Redliner back in the day, so we'll see how this plays out. Okay, so that's for the pre-release, and then looking forward to Skirmish this summer. We do finally know the dates for Skirmish season. The next Skirmish season, which is August 16th through 31st. Probably the next Skirmish season would be late November, December. It's pretty formulaic in that way. We have Flying High, which is a new one, and then Cold Foil Cerebellum Processor. I know some mech fiends going to be grinding for those. But Flying High is a generic, and it says your next attack this turn gets go again. If it's red, gets +1 and go again. The card's actually pretty good, in my opinion, for, I don't know, Runeblades. Seems pretty good. And others, but Runeblade's will like that a lot. So we'll see what the final rarity of that is. If it's a commoner card. Oof, you gotta love it. All right, so that takes me to the net end, and again, a nice shiny foils and stuff of James there. But going back to the start, I'll just land on this one. This is the thing I'm coolest about. Now, I get it, right? A lot of stuff getting thrown at us, but the summer, what's going to make the summer weird is like all the but we went through it last summer as well, where you had release dates before or product in the wild before release dates. Again, not the end of the world, but it's also kind of going to be, I do think it'll be a little different because remember for the High Seas release, stores are going to be able to be selling product on release weekend if they have some left over from the events, after the events they're running. Like they're able to order extra, basically as much as they can get, and then they can sell that weekend as well. So you're going to have a bunch of product in the wild anyway, not like we did anyway with the pre-releases. So maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be any different. It's just the volume of it's going to be higher. But remember, the actual legal street date will still be the actual release date. So it'll maybe I'm actually talking myself out of it. Maybe not a big idea at all. Let me know if you think it's going to be just a little bit confusing. We made it through last summer and it wasn't all that bad, right? So probably not a problem. Probably not a problem at all. So anyway, I would really like to know if you're still here, thank you. And I would really like to know what you're most excited about headed into really the summer. Yes, I know High Seas is something we're excited about. I think that one can almost go without saying. But what are you excited about this summer? Is it the Armory decks that are coming out? Is it Smash Palace? Is it Guardian Mastery to see how that lands? What are you excited about? Maybe it's the next Skirmish season and the next iteration of Blitz. If it's out by then, we will see. So anyway, that will do it for me today, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting all the new stuff, the digital download. And thanks for joining. And go Commando.